using the documents that the government claimed to have destroyed, and that was put into the public inquiry.
So, as Gareth just alluded, that you discovered that this infected blood, because there wasn't a big enough supply in the UK, had come from America, and the donors, the blood donors, were people who certainly perhaps needed the money or were not particularly questioned about why they were, what status their blood was. Yeah. And a lot of them were prisoners in Arkansas, in a jail in Arkansas. And unfortunately these prisoners had been exposed to hepatitis C, again, which wasn't in the public consciousness at the time, and HIV, which had just surfaced. And what you want now, and after all these years, and you've worked hard and you've written this dissertation, is for somebody to say what?
To apologise, because we still to this day have not had a public apology. And even the response from the government yesterday really totally avoided the issues, and it was the same standard lines that they've written in letter after letter to us.
Well, we know that the Department of Health have said that the exact cause and fault is very unclear. And it is unclear, isn't it?
No, no. I mean, my husband was actually told when he went in 1985 that it was the American treatment that had infected him. And I traced his batch numbers back to Arkansas State Penitentiary, and we have batch numbers that contain HIV-positive donors. The donors were, were traced back, so we have specific batch numbers.
We have to point out at this point that this is your point of view. We don't have the evidence to back that up ourselves.
Our lawyers do, though.
But what I would say that we do know is that there are few people, and the figures are between the 1970s and the 80s, 5,000 haemophiliacs affected with hepatitis C, more than 1,200 also infected with HIV. 2,000 people died as a result of this. How easy has it been for you to garner support? How many of the people left, people affected, families affected, want to come forward and want to be a part of the campaign?
There are very few that are willing to go public. I would say there's about a dozen. Out of the 59 that were infected in Wales, where I originally come from, there are only 13 of us left. So that tells you the significance of this, and I myself have attended over 100 funerals of haemophiliacs. But I think yesterday it was really good to see, in a strange sort of way, that members of the haemophilia community went public for the first time, and I'd like to congratulate them. So we are gaining more people who are willing to go public, and that's what we need.
So the crunch here, the bottom line of what it is that you're actually after, what it is that you want, because from our point of view, looking back at this was, as we've already discussed, a time of incredible ignorance. The HIV, hepatitis C, certainly not being screened across the board, and so it's easy to understand how the mistake could have been made, how the medical profession weren't necessarily looking in the right place and screening blood that should have been screened. We know that. But all this time on now, what is it that you're campaigning for?
Well, I think closure. And I think for me, my brother and my sister-in-law, we want to wake up, as my brother said yesterday, and not have to deal with this. You know, for 25 years now, every morning, I've virtually had to wake up, open my curtains and deal with the stigma and the horrendous things that happened in the early days. I'm 50 now. I'd like to spend some time with my daughter without having to look over my back, because I've been on this morning and deal with the consequences of travelling home on the train today. And there will be sniggers, there will be comments, even today. Yes. There's still a lot of ignorant people out there that still live in a wilderness. And, I want an apology, I want closure, and I want some understanding for the hundreds of children whose fathers have died, and they still they don't know why.
You lost your husband in 2005.
I did, yes, yeah.
And what about you? What is it that you want? Are the campaigners wanting money?
We want the government to act quickly. We want to be involved in decision-making with regard to blood safety and policy. We want an apology, and we want proper compensation, because a lot of the widows, well, they were carers for many years, so they lost their careers, they lost their pension rights, and that's not been properly addressed at all. And I think because You know, most of haemophiliacs were male and most of the women were carers. There was a gender issue here as well, and we were, you know, being seen as second-class citizens. So we want that addressed.
Well, the Department of Health say we've great sympathy for the patients and families affected by contaminated blood products in the 70s and 80s, and will study the findings of Lord Archer's report in detail. Steps to safeguard blood products against HIV and hepatitis C have been in place since 1985. In addition, every reasonable step to minimise risks from blood transfusions have been taken, and robust screening measures are in place to protect patients. Thank you both very much indeed for coming in today, and I do hope that on your way home today you don't meet any of that prejudice and ignorance.
I'll be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
If he sees Gareth, say hello.
We